I told him so. Greetings everyone, welcome to the Grand Illusion. My name is Infamous, and I will be your guide. Be warned! This commentary is going to be a bit more serious than most of my others. Why? Well, it's because I'm doing one on this guy. His name is Suit Up, and he uses a very extremist and quite frankly warped view of Christianity to justify his babbling of his inane theories about the world around him. So why am I going to be so serious about it? Because being a Christian myself, it really angers me when idiots like this give my fellow Christians and I a bad name. They make us look like science-rejecting, homophobic, racist, sexist ignoramuses. This is the exact same anger I felt back when the Westboro Baptist Church was still relevant. Don't worry though, I'll still inject some humor in there because I love you guys so much. So anyway, what are the idiotic theories that Suit Up proclaims to be the undeniable truth? Well, watch and see. Well, it's nice to see you're recording this from the inside of the van that you used to molest children.
Hey.
Why, hello there.
I want to declare something to you.
Yo, man, I'm about to declizzle up in this bizzle.
You see that thing out there?
No.
Here's me. There's a thing out there, it's called the moon. And there are trees with orange and red all over them. The glory of the Lord has been declared.
Damn right it has.
Romans chapter 1, verse 19 and 20. Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, talking about people, for God has showed it unto them, people. For the invisible things of Him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without what? Without what? Excuse.
Keep in mind that the Bible verses he just read have nothing to do with what he's about to say. The verses are about people not knowing the power and divinity of God. They have nothing to do with... well, I don't want to spoil it, so just watch.
There's no excuse not to see God's creation in His eternal power and in His Godhead. So, we can see for a fact a man jumping 24 miles to the earth. And they say that the Earth spins 1,038 miles per hour at the equator. Well, if that were the case, he wouldn't land back where he came from.
Yep, that's right, people. This guy is a geocentrist. As in, instead of the Earth rotating on its axis and orbiting around the Sun, he believes that the Earth is stationary and that the entire universe orbits around the Earth. And if you think he's trolling, all you have to do is take one look at his channel. He's a Christian extremist who has uploaded about 500,000 videos in which he talks about the King James Version of the Bible and how the earth is the center of the universe. Words cannot express the ignorance.
Roswell, New Mexico. He wouldn't have landed in the same place. The earth was the first thing made by God. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The heaven and the earth. God created it. So don't you think that it's the center of His attention?
Heliocentrism is something we've known about for hundreds of years, but Suit Up would like to refute that by saying it's the center of God's attention, snarf snarf.
You know, some people show us in our solar system as the third planet from the sun. Now, if you go to this observatory in Hawaii, this telescope observatory thing, it will show, when you point it directly at Polaris, the star directly above the Earth, it would show a time lapse of the stars wrapping around the Earth. But it will not show that Polaris, that star, moving hardly any whatsoever. If it does move, it's very little, very insignificant.
That doesn't help your case. If anything, you just made a counterpoint to your own argument. The reason Polaris, or the North Star as most people call it, doesn't move at all is because if you were to extend the Earth's North Pole somewhere to between 300 and 450 light years, because the distance to the North Star is disputed, then it would pass almost directly through the North Star.
So what does that show us? If the Earth were moving around the sun, there would be a big old stretch of stars kind of going along with the curvature of the Earth going around the sun, but that's not the case.
Actually, it is the case. There's an entire article on Wikipedia about the subject. So yeah, moving on.
Psalms 19:1-6 talks about the circuit of the earth coming out like a bridegroom coming out of this chamber, anxious to run the race. Psalm 93:1 talks about God established the earth and it will not be moved. Isaiah 40:22 talks about God who is above the circle of the earth. Isaiah 66:1 talking about the earth is God's footstool. Joshua 10:12 and on, it talks about the sun standing still over Gibeon and the moon standing still over Ajalon, the valley of Ajalon.
Okay, but here's the thing. The Bible was written by man, not God, man. And man's perception of the natural world was really different back in the day. Just saying.
So what does that tell you? He said earth stands still. Sun stands still, moon stands still. They didn't move. Don't you think the Holy Spirit knew what he was talking about whenever the Bible was written?
I'm sorry. What?
But some people say, no, I don't want to believe that because man wrote it. You guys, because the man was inspired by the Holy Spirit to write it.
Oh, what a bunch of bullshit. That is perhaps the biggest cop-out I have ever heard. You're just saying that so you can use it as an excuse to justify every ridiculous thing that was coming out of your mouth. As a Christian, I do believe in the divinity of the Bible, but not to the point where every word in it is completely infallible, especially when it comes to scientific and historical matters.
It wasn't really so much the man as it was the Holy Spirit. No, but some people ain't going to believe that. Even if the proof is right there in their face, even if it's declared to them, they will not believe it. And it says so in that book. It says so here. Even if it's declared to you, you still won't believe it.
Yeah, well, maybe it's because you're one of those lunatics who takes the Bible by its complete literal meaning instead of delving into its deeper message.
So let me read this again. Let me start in verse 18 this time. Romans 1:18. It says, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men whom hold the truth in unrighteousness. Oh, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. But I think we evolved from monkeys.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. The idea that we evolved from monkeys is a bit preposterous. Because we evolved from apes.
You know, I believe in aliens. I believe there are other planets that we can inhabit, that they're out in the solar system like Earth. But why don't you show me one that looks like Earth?
Gliese 581G, Gliese 581D, Gliese 163C, Gliese 667cc, Kepler 22b, HD 40307G, HD 85512b, Tau Ceti E, and Tau Ceti F. What do all these planets have in common? They are all considered habitable Earth-like exoplanets. Point refuted.
Why don't you show me one that's the crown and jewel of all creation besides Earth? Earth is the crown and jewel of all creation. God done did it. God done made it. This is His planet. He made it. And He sits above it. He's in charge. I mean, we have literally no excuse to not see and not know that God is the Creator. That His eternal power is shown in His creation and is of His Godhead. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, people, there's no excuse for not believing in God. Unless, you're a follower of another religion. Way to be religionally sensitive there, buddy.
There's no excuse. You have no excuse. to not see God's power and majesty and who He is revealed in all creation. There's none. Again, a man jumping the earth to Earth, 24 miles to Earth. They're supposed to spin at what, 1,038 miles per hour, right? Yet again, I don't know whether I said this before in this video, but I'm saying it again. It needs to be pressed out. He essentially lands in the same spot he came from.
Aerodynamics, inertia, satellite orbiter, knowledge, common sense. Do these words mean nothing to you?
And so does the capsule that held him 24 miles up in the sky, in the heaven.
Also, since we're over here taking the Bible by its complete face value, we've traveled to space. We've been beyond the Earth's atmosphere to the heaven, as you call it. Why weren't there any angels up there? Aren't there supposed to be angels in heaven? You see what happens when you take the Bible literally?
The eternal power of God has been declared. You can see it in all the leaves that are changing.
Speaking of the leaves changing, if the sun goes around the Earth, then explain the seasons. No, seriously, go ahead. I want to hear you explain that to me.
You can see it in the moon, you can see it in the stars, you can see it in the sun. There's no excuse. Now, whether you believe that this planet doesn't move or that it does move, that it rotates or that it doesn't rotate, that's up to you.
It's okay if you don't believe me, but I'm right and you're wrong and you're going to hell.
That probably doesn't have a whole lot to do with your salvation experience or whatever, your sanctification. But the thing of it is, the more you get into God's Word, the more you read it. I mean, from our own perspective, we see how the moon and the sun and the stars go around us.
Alright, that's it. I'm about to whip out my science and smack you in the face with it. Okay, here we go. The angular speed of Earth's rotation in inertial space is 7.292115 times 10 to the negative 5 radians per second. Converting that measurement to degrees per day by multiplying it by the degree to radian ratio over the number of seconds in a day yields 360.9856 degrees per day. If the Earth stood completely still, then that number would be exactly 360 degrees. But it isn't. The extra 9,856 ten-thousandths of a degree are accounted for by the fact that the Earth rotates on its axis while orbiting around the Sun, because the Earth rotates slightly more than once relative to the stars which are fixed in the sky before it rotates in relation to the Sun. Your entire argument has just been invalidated in one swift stroke of scientific justice, bitch.
But whenever they took this picture in Hawaii or wherever it was, all the stars were going around the Earth, around in the sky, except for one little spot that didn't hardly even move, and that's where Polaris was, above the Earth. God's awesome. God's amazing.
Hey, finally we can agree on something.
He reveals who He is in His Word. He reveals who He is in His creation. You put the two together, you got a perfect combination. If you don't believe one over the other, then you don't have the truth. If you can't see it for yourself and read it for yourself, then you're blind. You're being taken advantage of, or if it's you, or if it's someone else, or if it's Satan taking advantage of you, you're being deceived.
Whoa, wait, what happened to this?
Now, whether you believe that this planet doesn't move or that it does move, that it rotates or that it doesn't rotate, that's up to you.
And now all of a sudden you're saying I'm being deceived by Satan? Well, which one is it?
Now, as far as aliens go and all this other stuff, why would he want to have other places, other Earths? Why would he want that?
Why not?
Right here, I mean, we were going through the Virginia the other day, and there are many acres of land yet to be taken. I mean, we were going through, we see all this wide expanse spread of land everywhere, orange and red trees everywhere. I mean, have you ever been to Lover's Leap in Virginia, in Vesta, Virginia, and you look down, you see how wide and beautiful it is, how the expanse of it all. You only see very little people, inhabitants. You only see very little.
I don't care.
So think about the whole Earth. Yeah, God made this planet for a reason, for man to inhabit it. You know? And why would we need to go anywhere else? Because He's here.
Correction. God is everywhere.
You didn't come from monkeys, and there are no olive-eyed aliens. Nanu, you know? No. Man, what am I going to do with you people?
Every second I spent watching that, I lost more and more faith in humanity. For any non-Christians watching this video, I really hope you don't think that all of us Christians are like this imbecile, because he really only represents a small minority of the people who believe in Jesus Christ. There are plenty of rationally thinking Christians out there, such as myself, and it's a shame that a few bad apples have ruined the orchard. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed your stay in the Grand Illusion. Peace out, fags.